Hey, I'm Eric with Casual Car Talk. We just picked up this 2013 Focus ST. I noticed that it had a turbosmart blow-off valve and it has no true boost source, so they don't sell boost reference adapters like they do for the Focus RS. So I'm kind of rigging one up by doing a sound symposer delete, I believe it's called. CFM makes a little $30 part, and that'll give you a true boost source, and it's got a little nozzle that you can screw into it instead of the little block-off screw that is supplied with the kit, which I'll show you in a minute. And then you just need some fuel line, which I'll show you, and we're gonna run that from that sound symposer delete or whatever the heck it's called. It's just this little box right here. So this is gonna come out right here. There's just a couple of 8mm screws. The blow-off valve itself runs up right here to this line right here, which is the same on the RS, but I'm gonna obviously go down there and double check. So. Okay, so the sound symposer kind of sits right in like that. You can pull the tube off from the firewall back here. This just pulls right off. You can see the little nozzle right at the top here. Pulls right out of there, so you can take this piece out super easy. We're gonna toss that. This piece, the hose pops right off the side here, so you don't need to struggle with this whole hose, just pop that right off. Then you got this whole piece. It's just these two screws right here holding it on. They're both 8mm. And then there's one T25 screw right here that holds this whole piece of the sound box thingy, whatever the hell they call these. And then there's also a plug on the bottom. There we go. Okay. Got that unplugged. Nope, this is all just piping in fake noise into the cabin to make you think your car sounds good, but here it is. So, it's all, and this plug is just for the sound symposer itself, right here. So I'm just gonna zip tie that somewhere where it won't fall down on the shifter linkage. Okay, so the three pieces that come with this delete kit are the little block off plate itself, which the O-ring side is gonna face up towards the throttle body right here. The throttle body, intake manifold, whatever. And then I'm going to screw, I put 3/16 fuel hose on here, and then that's gonna thread right into the middle here, and I'm gonna use a little bit of pipe, a little silicone tape stuff or whatever, so that gets a good seal in here, which I'm gonna dig some up in my toolbox, and it'll actually go on the outside of this. But then that literally just threads right in here. You know, nice and snug. I'm gonna wait till I put the pipe thread on. But then this, I actually couldn't even get a little, I have some little clamps for it, but it's so tight on here that I'm not at all worried about it pulling off, which if you can get a little hose clamp on there, more power to you. I'm not going to.
You got a zip tie to it?
Yeah, I could. You could just zip tie around it, I suppose. It also comes with the little block off for it right here, this tiny little screw, which if you don't use this, you still have to thread that in so you don't have a air leak or whatever. And then the little plug for the back here, which you can see there's two clips on the sides right here. Right 180 from each other, the little clips, and those go in where the open holes are right here. So,
And that came with the kit?
it did. And it should. Yeah, just kind of pokes in there, you can hear it clip in. So now we're gonna install this with the same bolts we used to take off the other one. Back under these clamps, so this actually pulls right up and off right here, and that'll give you a lot more room to get those clamps off. So I used a little wrench to kind of pull the collar back, so that way it frees it up a little bit so I can actually pull this sucker off. So getting a little closer, but it's definitely a pain. And I kind of just lubed it up with a little spit, because why not? And then got a little leverage right on here to help me pull this off. Sorry about the camera work there. But it actually works all right. I keep prying out so this tube comes right up and off. There we go. Off it came. Flew somewhere, I'm sure. Oh, hey, look at that. It landed right on top of this pack here, like it was meant to be. So now we're gonna run our new vacuum line right onto this piece right here. We're gonna cap this off and continue on. AutoZone O'Reilly's come in a little multi-pack, but I'm plugging this side into the little adapter thingy that was on there. I'm gonna use that on the line. So I guess I didn't actually need to take that off. And then I'm gonna put this on this side right here. And then I'm gonna use little clamps on both sides so that they stay in good position. Okay, so you can see here, we got it running right off the little nozzle on the bottom there. Runs right up and over. I just threw one zip tie right here, one more on the corner here, and then just dove it down and around. And you can see we've got our little connector in there. And like I said, you can get a multi-pack from O'Reilly's. And then one in there, one of the little adapter on here, and right back to the line. And then I just give everything a little tug, make sure it's nice and tight, and that should be just about all you need for your boost reference source for the Focus ST. Now the next thing I'm going to do is crawl into the car, and I'm going to adjust the blow-off valve. I'm actually going to remove the cylinder, so just unscrew it all the way. So first disconnect the airline, which I'll show you.
So we're right inside the front passenger wheel well.
Wow, I cannot reach at the same time as camera, but this line right here has a little clip that we're going to remove right there, and then pull that line off, and it's going to let me unscrew that counterclockwise to take the whole thing off. And the first thing I'm going to do is screw it all the way in, and then figure out how loose it was to start with, because it was venting constantly, and I want to do all the way tight and then 2 full turns loose is how I'm going to adjust it, because I heard on a couple forums that was a good way to go. So we're going to take that off and see what it looks like on the inside. You can see this has the dual port turbosmart in it. I had to take the thing out because I could not unscrew this to take the piston out and to look at everything. Would not unthread on me. So left is softer, right is harder, and this is all the way tight, and I cannot even get it to break loose. So I'm gonna whip out some vice grips or something with rubber on it and try to get this busted loose. But this is definitely why it's been blowing off really weird. Special. Okay, so we got our turbosmart 5050. Now this was screwed all the way tight when I took it off the car, and I couldn't break it loose. And the only thing I wanted to do was unscrew the top part right here, pull this off, and service everything inside of it. But it was so bound tight because whoever installed this went full tight with it and didn't adjust it at all, which it'll still work. But I mean, for the RS, they said 2 full turns back, and this looks almost identical. I mean, it is pretty close to the same. I think they're slightly different part numbers. But anyway, it's a 13 mil barb on top. I'm gonna take that off because I'm just cleaning all of this out. And it's a little crappy. Full tight, so right when you hit the O-ring in here, so you can see you see that little O-ring on the camera? Starting to pop out. You don't wanna go below that O-ring. So if you're gonna go like as max back as you can, or you're adjusting it while it's on the car, you wanna start right here. And then they say to rev it, and if the RPMs return back to normal idle, you're okay. And if they kind of hover around or hunt for something, then it's not right, and you should give it another turn. So 1, 2 in. And for the RS, I went full tight and then 2 turns out, and it's been perfect. So I'm gonna do the same thing on the ST. But anyway, when you take this out, right, when it gets to that O-ring, it'll start getting loose. And then make sure you got a pretty good grip while you're unscrewing it, because it'll shoot that spring out, and that thing will go flying. And this actually looks really clean. And it's got the upgraded pink spring from turbosmart, so whoever bought this either got it with the kit or wanted to do something new. And then there's the piston right inside right here. So we're gonna take that out, and that actually looks to be in pretty good shape. All said and done. And then I'm just looking for like burrs and stuff on the inside, and honestly it looks pretty good in there. Oh, but I'm gonna brake clean off this piston and all this stuff, and then I'm gonna use hydraulic jack oil to just lightly lube this up inside and out, just to make sure it flows, or just kind of moves better in here, because this is all, I believe, aluminum. Yeah. And so this metal on metal will just ride and wear out, and you can see the little streaks where it's kind of worn out a little bit. So it's good to lube it up a little bit, but don't go crazy. I wouldn't have it dripping all over the place, because then it's just, I mean, it's Minnesota, so that port is still visible, so that's gonna just eat up a bunch of crap. So just a light coating of oil, but then we're gonna put it all back together and reinstall it on the car, and hopefully my blow-off valve doesn't sound insane now. But then to reinstall it all, piston goes in. Wow. And then the spring goes in. I don't think it matters which side is down, but the pink side was down when I pulled it out, so start off with that. And just recap it all. And then this will go back in the top. And then the only thing I did is I just took out these 3 little Allen keys. They're 5 mil Allen keys. They were actually they weren't super tight in there, which I was pretty happy about, because I thought it was gonna be really hard to get them out, but they came right out. And we'll get this all adjusted and put back together and install back on the car. This is an ST video. this video is for the ST, so come on. Look at that one. That one's better. Maybe not performance-wise, but I'll take it. Okay. So after showing you how to clean out your blow-off valve, kind of give it a quick service, I just gave it 2 turns off max. I ran the boost reference for it, and I gotta say, it's finally making full boost. When I bought it, one of the things that didn't impress me on the test drive is it kept venting. So I went on an on-ramp. He's like, hey, put it in third and give it a floor. And so I dropped it in third, and it was just venting like crazy. I couldn't stand it. Felt like something was wrong with it, but I actually knew it was the blow-off valve because I asked him if he did a boost reference. He said, I don't really know what that is. And I knew he put the blow-off valve in, and it didn't feel adjusted right. So I ended up buying it anyway. And it ran great. I mean, other than that, like on the highway, it was cruising fine. Wasn't having any weird misfires or anything. And after doing all that, we went out last night, gave it a floor, and second and third ran awesome. I did have a random check engine light, but it hasn't come back since. So I don't know, I put it in the test mode to try to figure out what it was, and it never came back. But we drove around a bunch today, started a few times, haven't had an issue since. And I gotta say, it runs smooth. It is really nice, it makes the power. Even you were like, wow, it actually is pulling. Like,
it sounded awesome.
It's fast again. And then the sound symposer with the aftermarket exhaust sounds amazing because you can actually hear the exhaust now coming from behind you, which is more natural, and it doesn't feel like it's piped in fake noise because it isn't. And then we threw the windshield banner on because why not? A lot of people say it looks like euthanasia ST, but that's because they're dyslexic, so that's their own problem. But yep, that's the.
Sorry if you're dyslexic.
Yeah, sorry. It's not offensive or anything. But yeah, after it all, very happy with the car. I don't have any plans for it right now. Might do spark plugs, but honestly, it's running okay, so I'm not really worried about it, and I'm not doing a tune for it at the moment, at least. But yeah, very happy with the car. Very much recommend.